So as you probably know by now, the S&P 500, the stock market in general, has been struggling to start 2025. We're now into March. Today, which is the 4th of March, we're down 1.22%. Last 5 days, down 3.23%. The past month, down 4.3%. And year to date, down 1.54% for the S&P 500. A lot of this, of course, being because of the trade wars, the tariffs, all of that stuff. But if you look at last year or even late 2023 going through 2024, you had what was called the Magnificent Seven stocks, which were making up like 30% of the S&P 500's growth. And you're talking about Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta. Well, let's see how these are doing right now. Nvidia, year to date, down 16.14%. Google, let's look at year to date for Google, down 9.45%. Amazon, year to date, down 7.46%. Microsoft, down 7.16%. Apple, down 3.25%. Tesla, down 28.27%. The only one that's actually done well in the Magnificent Seven this year so far is Meta, as far as these stocks that have a lot of focus on AI and have been a big chunk of the S&P 500's growth. For whatever reason, Meta is actually doing okay this year so far. So they seem to be the outlier of the Magnificent Seven for 2025 so far. Obviously, it's still early. If you have been keeping up with my latest stock videos, you might have seen some of these stocks I'm about to mention that have actually done better than the S&P 500, which if you look at the S&P 500, again, down 1.54%. And basically all except Meta in the Magnificent Seven of these top AI stocks, these top tech stocks, have been down this year. But these are actually 4 outside of those that have done really well. It might tell you something about maybe how to diversify or protect yourself a little bit against having everything into AI stocks. We don't know if the rest of the year they'll turn it around or not, but we do have some other things where you're not necessarily having to sacrifice a lot of growth, but you can still do better than what these tech and AI stocks have been doing this year based on, a lot of fear around these tariffs and trade wars. So one is JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan Chase, as you might have heard me mention in past videos, down today, but year to date still up 4.27%, and in the last year outperforming the S&P 500 at 34.05%, while the S&P 500 is at 12.61%. Now another one that was down a little bit today but is actually up 1.27% after hours is Constellation Energy. I made a video or two talking about how I bought Constellation back in, I believe it was like September or October of 2024. Been really happy with it. Obviously down over the past month or so, but year to date still up 3.55% over the past year. Also outperforming the S&P 500 at 31.63% compared to the S&P 500 again being at 12.61%. Another one outperforming the S&P 500 in the past year while also outperforming the Magnificent Seven in 2025 is T-Mobile, down 3% today, but obviously you got to look at the bigger picture, up 20.55% year to date. I made a video a while back about T-Mobile, actually bought some shares myself and been very happy with the returns so far. Great year so far in just the first 2 months or so of 2025, and up 62.02% in the past year, way outperforming the S&P 500 both this year and last year, while also outperforming the Magnificent Seven by far this year. And then you also have Progressive. I literally just made a video like last week talking about how excited I was about Progressive stock. If you look at how they're doing year to date, up 17.68%. I'm already up, I believe, 2 or 3% since I bought them like a week ago. And if you look at the past year, some nice steady growth over the past year, up just under 50% compared to the S&P 500 being up 12.61%. So you have JP Morgan Chase, you have Constellation Energy, T-Mobile, and Progressive, all stocks outperforming the Magnificent Seven easily in this year, outside of the one outlier being Meta. Meta seems to be doing really well. I'll have to do a deep dive video maybe into why Meta is having different results from the rest of the Magnificent Seven, but they've been really solid over the past year, past 5 years, and year to date. For whatever reason, even though they are one of what most people call the Magnificent Seven or one of the top AI related stocks.